Imagine being so brilliant that you conquer most of Europe, only to make one mistake so massive that it destroys everything you built. That's Napoleon Bonaparte for you, the military genius who rose from a small island to crown himself Emperor of France. He outsmarted kings, humbled empires, and rewrote the rules of war. But behind the glory lies one decision so disastrous, it became his downfall. Today, we're diving into 10 crazy facts about Napoleon's biggest mistake, the invasion of Russia. Get ready, because this is history at its wildest. 10 crazy facts about Napoleon's biggest mistake. 1. The arrogant gamble. Napoleon thought invading Russia would be a quick victory. He believed his army, the mighty Grande Army of over 600,000 men, could march in, crush the Russians, and end the war in weeks. But here's the hook. Napoleon underestimated Russia's sheer size, climate, and strategy. It wasn't just a gamble, it was the beginning of the end. 2. The largest army Europe had ever seen. When Napoleon marched into Russia in 1812, he didn't just bring an army, he brought the biggest force Europe had ever seen. Over 600,000 soldiers, from Frenchmen to Italians, Germans, and Poles, marched under his banner. But here's the crazy part. By the end of the campaign, only a fraction would make it home alive. 3. The Russians didn't fight like he expected. Napoleon wanted a grand battle, but the Russians had other plans. Instead of clashing head-on, they retreated, burning their own villages and crops as they went. This scorched earth policy left Napoleon's army hungry, tired, and frustrated. Imagine chasing an enemy who keeps running but destroying everything behind them. Brutal, right? For the scorched earth strategy. The Russians knew their land better than anyone. They burned entire towns, poisoned wells, and left nothing for the French to use. Soldiers starved, horses collapsed, and supplies ran out. Napoleon's men were forced to eat whatever they could find, even stray animals. The invasion was turning into a nightmare. 5. Moscow in flames. Napoleon finally reached Moscow, expecting to seize food, shelter, and victory. Instead, he found a ghost city. The Russians had set it on fire, destroying their own capital rather than letting him use it. Picture this. Napoleon standing in the middle of a burning city, realizing he had won nothing. Talk about a trap. 6. The deadly Russian winter. If there's one enemy stronger than any army, it's the Russian winter. Napoleon delayed too long in Moscow, and by the time he ordered his retreat, winter had arrived. Temperatures dropped as low as -30 degrees Celsius. Soldiers froze to death, wagons shattered, and frostbite crippled thousands. His mighty army wasn't fighting men anymore, it was fighting nature. 7. Disease, hunger, and chaos. Starvation set in. Horses were slaughtered for food, men collapsed from exhaustion, and disease spread through the freezing camps. Soldiers wrapped themselves in rags, boots disintegrated, and many simply gave up and died on the roadside. Napoleon's grand army, once unstoppable, was falling apart before his eyes. 8. The bloody retreat. The retreat from Moscow turned into one of history's greatest disasters. Cossack raiders attacked the stragglers, wolves hunted starving men, and rivers swallowed whole units as they tried to cross icy waters. Of the 600,000 soldiers who marched in, fewer than 100,000 staggered out. Imagine that, a loss so devastating it shocked the world. 9. Napoleon nearly died too. Here's a fact most people don't know. Napoleon himself almost didn't make it out alive. At one point he was nearly captured by Russian forces. His guards had to fight desperately to protect him. The emperor who once controlled Europe was now fleeing for his life. 10. The fall of a legend. The Russian campaign shattered Napoleon's aura of invincibility. News spread across Europe. Napoleon had failed. Countries he once ruled rose against him. Just 2 years later he was forced to abdicate and was exiled. His dream of a European empire collapsed, all because of one reckless mistake, invading Russia. And that's the shocking story of Napoleon's biggest mistake, the invasion of Russia. He marched in with the largest army Europe had ever seen, confident that nothing could stop him. But he left broken, his empire crumbling, and his reputation scarred forever. It wasn't muskets or cannons that defeated Napoleon. It was cold, hunger, and the iron will of the Russian people. The craziest part? Historians still debate whether Napoleon could have avoided disaster. Should he have turned back earlier? Waited out the winter? Or never invaded at all? What we do know is this. His arrogance blinded him, and it cost him everything. So, here's the big question for you. Was Napoleon's fall destiny, or did he simply make the worst decision of his life? Either way, his story proves that even the greatest leaders can be undone by one colossal mistake.